Okay, welcome to the part 2 of the Clarity Medical Consulting Questionnaire Design Review session. So I'm going to be reviewing this particular questionnaire. I don't want to go heavy on most of the reviews. I want to keep it kind of light so that you could develop, learn, and get better within the coming days. Because like I said, I expect you to go further to now do a pilot survey, put this on Google Form, 10-15% respond. You get the feedback, we enter to the software, you run the analysis, then you cannot do the major survey where you cannot get it out. And within the next 1-2 weeks, before the end of November, we can have these answers coming and we cannot actually have a real analysis that we can publish. And for some of us that are career medical professionals, or you are in academics, or you are currently practicing, research is one way to tell how knowledgeable you are in your particular field. There are several journals, dietetics journals, journals for nurses, journals for medical doctors, journals for medical, in all the different fields, you have associations, and most of those associations have their journals. So you want to set yourself as someone that is unique, somebody that is not only just practicing, but you can also conduct research and make cases and also follow up, and it's actually backed up with data. So you're not just saying so and so is prevalent, or so and so happens. You want to back it up with a particular research that you have done. And don't forget what I talked about sample size. I think let me talk about sample size. I think we mentioned sample size in our sample size calculator. So there are quite a number of formulas you could use to get sample size, right? You want to, there are so many, right? But you want to keep it very simple. If you were doing an academic work, then we can go into all of the different formulas and the rest. So, but aside that, you can just use a simple calculator to know how much minimum should you use to be able to get your minimum number of respondents that you can use to make a decision on the entire population. Okay. Look at this calculator here. I just Googled and got the results. Look at this one here. Confidence interval of 95, margin of error, keep it low at 9%, population proportion, use 50% if not sure. You want to keep this at most of the default. If you tap each of these, it will give you explanation of what that means, the statistics behind that. So I don't want to go into that. I just want to use the calculator using its default, and I say 200, 123, 123. That's 200 million, and I calculate the sample size. I wait for the response. You say I got 385. That is same with this calculator by SurveyMonkey. SurveyMonkey, for the past 12, 13, 14 years, I've known SurveyMonkey to be a tool that you can use to carry out surveys, big time surveys, right? It could hold as many data as possible. You can do the questionnaire, design it, and now send it out to people online. They can fill it up. This even was there before Google Form had any shadow even. We had SurveyMonkey back 10, 12, 13 years ago. So you could use that to also calculate sample size calculator 200, 123, 123. You see these defaults. Where's my calculator? Margin of error. Enter. Yes, enter. I can't find the calculator for this website, funny enough. I was on mobile this morning and I found it. Okay, so there's a UI problem here. Let me collapse this and see. I almost closed this website. Invariably, I've closed it. Chrome. Now have issues. Okay, let me check my history. Survey monkey, yeah. 200, 200, 123, 123, 95, 5. Okay, good. So you see the same stuff, 385. Are we together? Somebody hearing me?
Hello,
yes,
yes.
we are.
Okay, sorry about that hitch. My browser decided to mess up. So I will go back to the questionnaire and continue. So I am Mrs. Okay, questionnaire on the prevalence of malaria parasite among human, it should be human, right? Human immunodeficiency virus patients attending HIV clinic in Lugwe Memorial Hospital. Yes, I'm also conducting a similar study where I'm looking at hepatitis B and looking at it on pregnant women with HIV. So, but this person is looking at malaria parasite amongst patients, just normal patients, anybody that have HIV. So I am Mrs. Ajagbe Ajan Lekoko, student of Department of Microbiology, Houston, Nigeria University. Does this university exist? I'm conducting a study on prevalence of malaria parasite among human immunodeficiency virus patients attending HIV clinic in Lugu Memorial Hospital. Kindly assist me with taking. I love this because you give a background, you give an intro. You give the person a reason why the person should feel, and you talk about confidentiality, which is very key. Now, please stick. So I love the fact that also this is, okay, this is not even categorized. So you could categorize it by having the bio data, all of this age, gender, marital, all of this, you can keep it. The location also, because there's some kind of data that you need to pick out so that it could help you when you are running some kind of comparative analysis. So the question is, you're talking about Lugwe. What if you get different locations in Lugwe and put those stuff there so that you can also check prevalence? Because if you are not exhaustive in the kind of data you collect, there are certain kind of analysis you can never run. Now, 22 patients attending. So the question is that this survey, is it for kids? Is it for adults? Is it for the elderly? Why did you choose to start from 20? Is this particular person on the call now? Do you have this person on the call? Okay, let me write up. Maybe the person is not on the call. So you have age. So tell me why it has to start with 20. If you don't have any reason, then you have to include, you have to say below 29. Then 30 to 39. And it's best most of the times when you are categorizing age, you categorize it according to the norms, like maybe kids, maybe teenagers, young adults, in that kind of range. So don't just use 10, 10, 10, 10. That's not the standard. So you want to be able to say for kids, for youngsters, for teenagers, for young adults, for mid-aged persons, for the elderly, for the senior citizens. But the way you categorize this now, we have so many issues here because you just say 20 to 29, 30 to 39. So what do we call these persons? What do we call these persons? Yes, we can call these guys in their own right. We call them senior citizens, but what do you call these guys? What do you call these guys? What do you call these guys? So this is not a norm or a consistent form of age categorization. So you can look at other questionnaires and see what the standard is and learn from those guidelines. Gender, male, female, marital status, single, married, divorced, widow, widower. Okay, if you choose to do this, the question is that are there other types? So you want to explore that. If married, how many children do you have? Right? Good. How old is your last child? Religion, Christianity, Islam, others, educational level. So for this education level, you don't want to keep it open. You got to have so many issues if you keep this stuff open. Okay, maybe later on I will show you an example of a survey I'm doing. You want to give people options, right? Primary education, secondary education, undergraduate education, postgraduate education, maybe PhD. You want to have that so that people select. So that when you start running your charts, your bar charts and all of those stuff, you can be able to do simple, straightforward analysis and be able to count and tell. But now, what of someone that doesn't understand the difference between primary and secondary? Is that how you want to categorize it? How long have you been attending Apple whatever clinic? Okay. So now, how long? You need to give options. Are you trying to measure in weeks? Are you trying to measure in years? Are you trying to measure in months? Are you trying to measure in days? So you don't have a standard unit for this particular parameter. So Mr. A is going to come and say 10 weeks. Mr. B is going to come and say 2 years. Mr. C is going to come. How many of us are seeing the issues you have with this particular question without a clue for the respondents? Anybody?
Yeah, we are following. We are following.
Who else?
We are following, sir.
Hello?
Ladies in the house, no one?
We are following.
Okay.
We are following.
Okay, good. So you see, you have issues with just leaving it open-ended that way. Okay. What type of housing? 1 bedroom, room and parlor, self-contained, 2 or 3 bedroom duplex, 1 bedroom, room and parlor. What I've just, okay, that's that's self-contained. I just mean to say just 1 room, right? So this covers it all. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's exhaustive enough. Have you ever had attack of malaria fever or any of its symptoms such as fever, general? Yes or no? Okay, good. If yes, how long? I love this because you have follow-up questions. Did you do any malaria test? Yes, no. What is the severity of the fever experience? You see now, I have a problem with this. True or false?
True.
So the standard is it should be 5 or it should be 7. Yes. So if you want to use, you say mild, moderate. So in this, for this person, he or she is thinking this is max. This is, if you even look at it, moderate and mild is even almost at the same scale. So which do you think, mild or moderate, should be at the neutral? So there's no low, there's no one at the lower end of severity even. Mild and moderate is very similar in terms of how severe. Yeah, severity. How often do you experience this feeling? Recurrence? Once a week, once a month, once a 6 months, once a year. So I love this, right? So you can also add another one for more than a year. So you can take, there's some people that don't have malaria for like 2 years, so they will fall into that category. Did you ever take anti-malaria drug at the onset of the fever? If yes, what type did you take? Question is, did you give them options? So you need to give the options. Do you want to go by the brand? Do you want to go by the combination, right? So are you currently on any medication? If yes, state the drugs. Okay, this is good. So it might also be good for you to provide heads up because the person might not remember the drug, but if you list some popular drugs and now use other, it will help them so that you can also do your frequency tables. Do you use any preventive measure for mosquito? So you could categorize this questionnaire according to biodata, family and marriage, blah, 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 and maybe standard of living, blah, blah, blah. Then you could have malaria stuff. You could not have prevention and the rest, right? I think I will stop here. Are you on any retroviral drug? So if you check very well, you will see that the aim of this study is actually prevalence of malaria amongst persons with HIV. I've not seen any HIV question so far. So, but I only now saw it at question 21, 22. Are you on any retroviral drug? It did not even ask if the person have HIV. You're not asking if the person uses retroviral drugs. So who can suggest what might be the issue or what should be the correction for this particular survey, considering that you are doing?
I feel since the target audience are people already on antiretroviral therapies, I think that question shouldn't have been there because the target audience is people already on antiretroviral.
Okay, good. So you have it's patients attending HIV clinic. So good. So everybody that's going to receive this, that's why for every questionnaire that you're going to be developing, you must be thinking about the target audience. I was doing data science training for some set of 14-15% just last 2 weeks in one of the close by states to Abuja. And you guys did actually well because maybe you paid attention to the training 2 days ago, or you have some little experience, or you did your homework, did your research, because for instance, you see asking a question in the third-party format. So you need to, if you start asking questions in third-party format, it then means that you are asking somebody to answer the question. So you need to be very clear who your audience are, who they are, then who is going to be responding. Don't forget, I'm not saying that a third party cannot answer on behalf of somebody. Take for instance, in the video explainer I did, you can have an insurance company answering questions for the persons using their services. You can have a bank answering questions, or there's a survey for its customer base and the rest. You can have a hospital giving you secondary data about her patients. So, but if you're going to be doing questionnaire, you have to be very, very targeted. Okay, I think this is an order. So everybody here feeling this will be, of course, is attending clinic. So they're asking now, are you on retroviral? If yes, state the drug you use. So if no, question why. You want to have the reason spelled out. If you have the reason spelled out, it helps. So you could have 1 or 2 open-ended questions like these ones. Questions before I move to the next one. I think I'll just consider maybe 1 or 2, and I think I'll be done for today. Then I will start up another Zoom meet so that I can explore some of the tools. Questions, please. Any question?
I think it's very
None for
clear.
now.
Okay, good.
I want to ask, is there a proportion of the question approach? What I'm saying is that is there a proportion of open-ended question?
Yes. Now, you see, your open-ended questions are going to be very subjective, right? They are not going to be objective in the sense that you don't have control over it. So you might be doing a semantic analysis. You can be doing a word analysis in terms of frequency of a particular word. If somebody is answering, if yes, still the drug you use, you left this one open-ended. If yes, what type did you use? This is not actually, because for this, you should provide options. For this, you should provide option actually. For this, you should provide option. Open-ended question, we mean you saying, okay, what do you think about the healthcare service delivery in, let's say, Lugbe Memorial Hospital? Or what do you think we can do to improve or to assist you in mitigating maybe other underlying diseases associated with HIV? So those are open-ended questions you could ask them. So everybody will not answer in a particular format. So you want to keep that at a very minimum between 2, 3, 4, 5%, right? If you have 20 questions, you want to keep it at just 2. If you have 10 questions, you want to keep it at just 1. You shouldn't even get up to 2. Just 1 open-ended question in 10, in 20, 2 open-ended question, in 30, 40 questionnaire, you want to have just like 3 or 4. So you want to have it very minimal, because when you start using statistics softwares, you won't be able to do quantitative analysis on them, right? Okay, so I will end this call, and we will, the next call, we're going to overview the softwares.